Welcome to our 8 News Now Investigator Show here from the KLAS newsroom. I'm David Charnes alongside Kyle Payne, both investigative reporters here at 8 News Now in Las Vegas. Both of us covered a murder trial the past couple weeks involving Devyn Michaels. She is a former adult film star who, at the time before her trial, was accused of decapitating her ex-husband. Now, there's a lot to get into with this story. Ultimately, a jury found her guilty. I'll give that part away. But there's a lot that was uncovered in the trial, and there's a lot that we actually uncovered and reported right after her arrest. So Carlos, our digital producer, he's going to hear me call out some videos for you to watch at home. And Carlos, let's play package 1.
Ms. Tavares, is there anything that you want to say on your own behalf?
Video the 8 News Now investigators obtained shows 45-year-old Devyn Michaels in court days after prosecutors suspect she killed the father of her children.
Dana versus Tracy Tavares.
She's here under the name Tracy Tavares on a child abuse charge, one for which a judge, minutes into this hearing, would sentence her to a year of probation.
I've done counseling classes, therapy, drug tests, psych evaluations. I've done everything, and everyone I've spoken to say I'm not an abusive person and they don't feel there's any risk for me to abuse her or would ever do this again.
But 2 days before this court hearing, prosecutors allege Michaels hit 46-year-old Jonathan Willett with a stick, then decapitated him with a meat cleaver. According to grand jury transcripts, Michaels has 2 children with Willett. Willett had custody of the kids, but they were living with Michaels and her husband for the summer. Her husband happens to be Willett's son, making him both her husband and her stepson.
Is that your understanding, Ms. Tavares?
Last week, the same judge who sentenced Michaels to probation revoked it amid her new charge of open murder. Detectives in Henderson believe Michaels killed Willett sometime early in the morning of August 7th. They say they found his wallet, ID, and truck keys in her home across town. Michaels telling police she didn't want to kill him, but wanted to hurt him enough so that he would have to go to the hospital. Police say they found his body smoking from chemicals they believe Michaels poured onto it. Michaels then allegedly took Willett's severed head from the Henderson home where police say he was murdered to Las Vegas, where prosecutors say she threw it in the trash. In the days before Willett's death and Michael's arrest, she was here where her public defender told the judge this.
She's a low risk for offending. There was nothing on there that shows she would reoffend again.
So we wanted to start there to kind of set the scene because you see Devyn Michaels, she's there in court, and we actually found out that on that day, which was August 9th of 2023, she was a suspect for his murder already because the murder happened August 7th, 2 days before. So we found that out kind of putting together this case. I mean, Kyle, you and I can talk about how police tell us arrests happen.
Well, I love the deep dive you did to go back to her early crime days.
I love court documents.
Yeah, so you went and said, okay, this woman is considered for this murder.
Yes.
And you somehow found out that she was...
I don't know how I found it out. I mean, what happens, a lot of people think that police tell us everything, which could not be farther from the truth. Because they don't even give us booking photos anymore. But
they don't tell me much.
They certainly don't tell either of us much. Well, some departments do. Depends on who we're friendly with. But what was really interesting about this is Henderson police did send out a press release saying that they had arrested her. They arrested her about a week after that murder happened. So we're talking mid-August 2023, kind of when we start getting involved. And obviously we are interested in the story because it's terrible. I mean, every murder is terrible, but this one had so much extra stuff with it.
It had all the elements of amazing clickbait, too.
Well, it had all the elements of stuff that people were really interested in.
Right. Porn star.
Former adult film actress using the name Nikki Fairchild, accused of decapitating the father of her children, who we would find out in the trial she was actually married to at some point. She lives across town in Las Vegas, about 30, 40-minute cross town. We find out that she actually, and this is where it gets crazy, she actually married her stepson.
Right.
So she was married to the murder victim, Jonathan Willett. She decapitates him. She drives home, throws his head in the trash, or at least that's what she told detectives. We find out that her current husband was her stepson. So she married Jonathan Willett's son. So this all kind of is happening. We get the grand jury evidence. We show that. I found out that she was in court after she's a suspect on this child abuse charge. She says she's a nonviolent person. Her attorney said she'd never do something like this again. Lo and behold, she's a suspect of this. So it all kind of
Any one
was
of those things,
salacious.
any one of those laundry list of crazy elements of the case
Would be an
make
interesting story.
Yes, and to have all of them is almost too much.
It was a lot. So then she goes through the judicial process. She, as in all these cases, the goal, you start with an arrest, you end at trial. 90+% of cases here in Clark County, whether it's a DUI or a murder or whatever, end in a deal.
Correct.
So she took a deal where she would avoid trial. She admitted to killing Jonathan Willett. I mentioned it in that story from what was in the arrest report, but she said she was trying to scare him. And
When she
hit him with some stick. So we learned at trial, which today we're recording this in mid-November of 2025. She was found guilty last week, which we'll get to. A judge has not sentenced her yet.
Right.
But a jury did find her guilty. She did confess to police that she hit Jonathan with a stick. So she's still married to Jonathan's son. She goes back
Secretly.
to Jonathan's house. They are doing stuff. She says she's giving him a massage. He's handsy with her. She says they don't want to do anything more than that.
In the middle of the night.
10 p.m. and she hits him with a stick. He falls unconscious, and she had said that she left. Well, she's the only one who could have done it, and then she confessed to police that she cut his head off and threw it in the trash.
Right, but the
Which
jury never figured that
heard,
out.
which we'll get to.
And the son became the prime suspect that the defense tried to.
Which we will get to.
Okay,
The
good.
defense
All right,
tried
just
to
want to
pin
make
it.
sure.
Yes, we got a lot to get to, Kyle. But let's talk about this plea deal first, because she did take a deal. And as part of that deal, she would have gone to prison for 15 to life, which essentially means you're paroled at 15. That doesn't mean she will be.
No, but there's a chance he'll be out in 15 or less
Right.
because she's already been in for a
Right.
little while.
So again, covering this case, and at the sentencing for that deal, she had tried to pull her deal, and the judge said, no, you made it freely and voluntarily. And then at sentencing at the deal, she had an outburst in court in Carlos that is SOT number 1.
It doesn't turn out the way they tell me it will. And it just gets worse and worse. And I don't know what to do anymore.
So she took that deal, 15 to life. That was supposed to be the sentencing. The family was all ready to speak.
I didn't see any real tears.
I didn't really know what was going on there. She started shrieking, and then the prosecutor was like, we can't move forward with this. Let's go to trial. And the judge was like, let's go to trial. And that trial was then the second week of November. So they went to trial, and ultimately she was found guilty and will have a worse sentence than she agreed to. And we'll talk about that after this break. Welcome back to our 8 News Now Investigators show. I'm David Charnes alongside Kyle Payne. Today we're talking about the murder trial of Devyn Michaels, who a jury found guilty just last week. We're recording this in mid-November of 2025, and she will be sentenced. So you were interested in following along
Right.
with this as well. I
Yes.
was in the courtroom every day. You offered kindly to help, which we'll tell you how Kyle really got involved.
I really came in through the clutch.
Certainly. So we just showed you how Devyn Michaels was arrested for the murder of her ex-husband in August 2023. She took a plea deal, and then in the summer of 2025, basically said, I'm not guilty, and the judge said, okay, let's take this to trial. So that trial started, and during the opening statements of that trial, the prosecutor looks right at the jury and says, you're in for a wild ride.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. And he could not have been farther. He was right on, I guess I should say. I don't know what the idiom is.
Right.
But
he hit the nail on the head.
He was right on, because this was a crazy trial.
Yes. Two very good lawyers.
Two very good lawyers who were doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And let's show you the first day of trial with opening statements. And this is package number 2. Well, his theory is that Devyn Michaels' husband, who is also essentially her stepson, killed his father after Michaels asked for a divorce. This trial happening months after Michaels pleaded with a judge to pull a plea deal, and now everything is out in the open. 47-year-old Devyn Michaels sits and listens as prosecutors tell a jury why she allegedly killed the father of her children in August 2023. Michaels, a former adult film performer whose names include Nikki Fairchild and Tracy Tavares, is accused of hitting 46-year-old Jonathan Willett with a stick and then decapitating him inside his Henderson home. Crime scene photos the 8 News Now investigators obtained after her arrest showing bottles of chemicals police suspect Michaels used to then burn him.
All I can say is buckle up because you're in for a wild ride.
That wild ride, according to prosecutors, included Michaels' relationship with Jonathan Willett's son, Devyn Willett, who Michaels would marry in 2021. Michaels had recently lost custody of her 2 children, but Jonathan Willett, the father of those children, was in the process of moving into her house for stability. Prosecutors alleging that's not what she really wanted.
This is the future that she saw, that she wanted, and the only way to have that future was with John out of the picture.
Look at the motivations and find her not guilty.
During opening statements Wednesday, Michael's attorney, Robert Draskevich, told a different story, one where he alleges Henderson police missed other potential suspects, instead focusing all their attention on Michaels. Draskevich telling the jury that in the days before the murder, Michaels sent Devyn Willett a message, calling him a liar and a cheater, in saying she wanted a divorce.
What happened on August 7th of 2023 is Devyn was getting kicked out. He was no longer going to be a part of this relationship because the dad he hated, was coming in and not only taking his home, but taking his wife.
Again, Devyn Willett does not face any charges, and prosecutors say there was no cell phone or video surveillance that connects him to this case. He is on the witness list, so we do expect to hear from him under oath in the coming days. Police never did find the murder weapon or the victim's head. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now. Critical piece of information there. They never found the weapon that she said she hit him with. They never found his head, and also they never found whatever she used to decapitate him.
And it sounded like they were looking for a whole lot of blood they never saw at the crime scene.
Right, which they talked about at trial about what mechanics would actually go into that process. And we'll play some sound from when the medical examiner, you're just the tease, you just want to get ahead, man.
I should have asked what was next.
It's okay. Kyle has no idea what videos I've chosen. So
like Christmas.
It's or Hanukkah for us.
Yeah, for us.
What's interesting though is they talk so much about the mechanics of this crime.
Right.
And what was really, really interesting to me is there's information that she had given to detectives, such as I hit him, which was in one interview, and then I decapitated him and threw his head in the trash, which we all knew in the media. That was in one of the reports. But that information couldn't get relayed to the jury because the judge determined that it was admitted. Well, she said it voluntarily. It wasn't 100. Speaking of Hanukkah, it wasn't 100% kosher.
Right.
And in terms of having an attorney around.
Right.
So we can say that we're.
She had sort of said, I want one. And at that point.
Yeah, they still asking her stuff. And Robert Draskevich, who was her attorney, said, you know, you've interviewed her 6 times. Of course, she's sick of talking to you. She's going to say whatever, you know, to get you off her back.
High-profile criminal attorney Robert Draskevich, who got the head confession thrown out, which is kind of like Law and Order.
Yes, you sound like a great PR rep for him. So it was interesting to watch him, speaking of him, to try to find holes in this because there weren't a lot. The biggest hole is you don't have the weapon, and obviously there's no video of her doing it. But there was video of them basically together before the murder, and then there was only video of her leaving after. And what really, I think, sealed her fate was when they had, we're not going to play this clip, but they had an expert testify about his phone. And they were able to show that after he was murdered, she took his phone home with her. And then detectives found it in her driveway.
So much time in a 2-week-long trial or several days is DNA evidence, just the explanation of how it works, and phone cell
and how the
tower data.
phones work. And
Oh,
I know, yeah, if
it's
you want to know
exhausting.
about the bands and all the
that's-
Verizon and T-Mobile, like just call us here because we could probably be
That's
the
when I get
experts.
on my phone in the courtroom.
But it was just fascinating how much evidence there really was against her. And let's go back to what I was talking about in that story, which was Robert Draskevich, her attorney, trying to show, well, no, the son did it.
Right.
And he was really trying to paint the son and the current husband as the suspect, which again, I said multiple times, and I'll say it again, there's no evidence, and there is no evidence because he wasn't charged with a crime.
Right.
She's guilty. But they were really trying to pin it on him, and they brought him up to the stand, and this is what the prosecutor asked him, Carlos. This is soundbite number 2.
Did you kill your father?
No, sir.
Did you have any involvement in killing your father?
No, sir.
Did you have any involvement in what happened to his body after?
No, sir.
And I really don't think he had any idea, honestly.
He didn't seem to.
And Robert Draskevich was trying to say, the prosecutor really said it best at closing arguments. There's really no way he could have been there. His phone wasn't in use. There's no video of his car leaving the house. There's no evidence that he was near that murder
I think he
scene.
said something to the effect that he would have had to have been like a ninja in order
He
to
did use that
get,
word.
go over the fence and get there. But the thing that Attorney Draskevich did in getting the head confession out is he was able to tell the jury the person who decapitated this man is also the person who killed him. So if we can't find a head and we can't find a murder weapon and we can't find all that blood, we don't know a lot of things, and so that should be reasonable doubt. It's an interesting point when you're able to take that huge piece of evidence out.
Well, this is also interesting though because we often talks about crimes like a stabbing are a passion, where a shooting is not, right? You shoot people you don't know, you stab people you do, and I think that was kind of how this case came together. This was a moment of rage for her.
Right.
You're talking about how they kind of pieced it together in some of the other elements. Let's play package number 3. Prosecutors focusing their questions Friday on how this murder victim died. But attorneys for Devyn Michaels question how she alone could have beheaded the father of her children.
Some strange noise.
Okay, was it like a bang?
Bang, that's all. Something like that.
Witnesses in the murder trial against 47-year-old Devyn Michaels included the victim's mother, who found her son decapitated in his bedroom in their Henderson home in August 2023. Yoko Willett telling the jury she saw Michaels and her son, 46-year-old Jonathan Willett, together the night before. Then she woke up in the middle of the night to a loud bang.
Would you agree with me that it would be difficult to effectuate a decapitation?
I don't know. I have never attempted one myself.
The majority of Friday's testimony focusing on how investigators believe Willett died, with the Clark County medical examiner saying it appears someone used at least 2 tools to remove his head.
This may indicate there were previous attempts to use a sharp force injury in this area.
She said there's no evidence someone strangled Willett before his death, but concluded he was dead before whoever killed him decapitated him and poured something on him to burn his skin. Michael's attorney, Robert Draskevich, attempting to prove there's really no way to know for sure.
This person could have had a pillow placed over his face, correct?
Correct.
And then decapitated, isn't that right?
Correct.
Detectives never found the head, but they did find Willett's things hidden in Michael's bedroom. A crime scene analyst briefly mentioning how she photographed swords in Michael's living room, though police never tested those weapons.
Were they swabbed? Is that what you're asking? No.
This trial is expected to extend into next week with 1 day off because of the Veterans Day holiday, and then the jury will have a lot of evidence and testimony to go through. At the Regional Justice Center, I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now. So that trial did extend into the next week, and then on Friday, it took them 2 hours to find her guilty. We're going to talk about that right after this break. Welcome back. We're talking about the murder trial of Devyn Michaels, found guilty for the murder of her ex-husband, Jonathan Willett. You know, what's really interesting is, yes, there was about 6-7 days of testimony, and it was basically all prosecutors. The defense brought up 2 witnesses. what was really interesting is at the end on Friday, I don't know the exact date, but it was last Friday when we're taping this, is
7th maybe?
they somewhere around there.
7th and 14th.
The prosecutors basically said, look, Devyn Michaels didn't testify. You know from what she told police that she hit him.
She said.
And he went unconscious.
And wasn't breathing.
And was not breathing. And he died. And the prosecutor said, that's all you need to know,
Correct.
right? That's all you need to basically say she did, and she did that. And he said, it doesn't matter what she did after. It doesn't matter about the decapitation. That's not what she's really charged with.
Right. She wasn't charged with decapitating him, but the defense attorney, in hoping to get one holdout juror, wants to get someone's imagination going to say, wait a minute, that to me, if this woman did all that work, there's going to be more blood. We're going to find a weapon. We're going to find a head. They don't just disappear.
And I didn't actually include it in that story, I don't think. But the medical examiner basically was saying, well, when your heart stops, your blood isn't going to spurt around anyway. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of blood, but there was a lot of blood. We didn't show, they showed some very gruesome photos, and they were showing how, bones in the neck and cuts and how you would have to use different tools. And, one thing that didn't make any sense to me was no one heard anything.
Right.
And
and there were people in the house.
There were two people sleeping in the house, and Jonathan's mom got up at one point and saw Devyn in the kitchen, and they were cleaning dishes together, and then they noticed a knife was missing, but they kept talking about how you would need to use a saw, a powered mechanical saw, and Robert Draskovic said no one heard a saw, but also no one else really could have done it. What I want to ask you, though, is you were interested. Why did you want to come in and listen to closing arguments?
Well, you have two good attorneys there, the prosecutor that did it and Attorney Draskovic. They're both very good. But also, just your coverage was excellent. And I'm not just saying that, but it was so good that I thought if I was going to pick one day and I missed the openings, that I wanted to do.
Yeah, and Kyle goes, closings are the best. And I'm like, really? We just want to see. So let's play soundbite number 4 to show you a little bit of those closing arguments.
And the truth is, the walls were closing in on Devyn Michaels and the fantasy that she had put together.
Where's the testimony of a mechanical powered saw? It happened. It's more reasonable to believe that happened after 3 a.m. We don't know when it happened. She didn't do it.
So he really tried. And then obviously right after that or so, the deliberations began. So here's how the sausage is made. So the closing arguments happened. That's my story on that Friday. I have to come back here to our TV station to put that together and then what we call front it to relay that
information.
out there in studio. So we were doing that for 6 p.m. Kyle graciously on a Friday night said, I'll wait.
Told you all you need to know about me.
We think you are busy. You have friends. Kyle was thinking, okay, well, I'll hang out. I'm honestly thinking, they're going to go home at 5. It's a Friday, but 5 rolls around, 5:30 rolls around, 6 rolls around. I'm in the studio, which is on the other side of the building. I'm getting ready to go on air, and Kyle goes, there's a verdict.
Yeah. They deliberated for 2 hours. Closing arguments were 3 hours. So they went in there and they said, we'll stay longer.
Just because we know.
Because they must have known.
So,
and not wanted to stay, not wanted to.
Right. And there was this whole
Monday.
process in closings where they were talking about, well, it could be first degree voluntary. The prosecutor said this is clearly first degree murder. Obviously, the defense says no. They clearly, and what's this is silly to me, but it's also the process. They went in there and they're like, here's your special computer to watch all the videos again,
they make
all
a big
the
deal
evidence.
out of
Like
that.
we sat through hours and hours of interviews with her and ring cameras and all this stuff, and they sat down there and they were like, no, she did it.
Yeah, they didn't buy it. Well, she confessed.
Oh, my chair.
If she confessed, it's hard to get around that, and that's why I was saying it's all about theater of the mind to say, well, then where's the head?
Yeah, so they found her guilty, and let's play that verdict, which is SOT 5.
Count 1, murder with use of a deadly weapon. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon.
Guilty.
That was it. Yeah, guilty. And then so that happens. Kyle thankfully stayed. We got it on air that night and put it out online to all of our digital audiences, and a lot of people, like I said, are interested in this.
It did well online.
Well, people are, we had a tour in here the other day, and one of the people on the tour said, why cover it? And I said, because first we need to show, yes, there's high interest, right? But I would argue that if there's high interest in a murder trial, why not put more resources towards it and show people how our system works?
Yes.
Because I went through every single step, attorney, lawyer, whatever, 101, and kind of, people might not think of it like that, but that's also what we're doing.
You covered it more in depth than I would have, in the sense that I feel like you have to do broad strokes, and your reporting is very detailed. But it was so fascinating. It was like reading a book.
Well, it was like doing the family tree, and it got very confusing, and her past and what happened, and honestly, the family was there, and I never said anything to them, but you saw them and you had a conversation with them, and honestly, we do everything for victims' rights and
Yes.
victims, and we're not doing it for. Yes, we're doing it for her to show her process and make sure it's fair,
Right.
But we also are doing it for him.
We're doing it in part because the viewers want to know what's going on and to tell a story. But yes, when you see the family there, you realize now we're talking about lives who are affected forever. And it puts a whole different perspective on maybe when you show up and you're like, I'm going to go cover a murder trial where all this exciting
more.
stuff happened.
And it also shows how police work, how courts work, we didn't really touch on this in this conversation, but I touched on it in that story. They saw those swords. It's like,
right.
how did detective work? We're all doing it for the greater good. So
The defense attorney will always poke holes at the police investigation, and in this case, you're right. They said there were big swords kept up and that were never
tested.
swabbed.
Yeah, crazy.
Yes.
So thanks for your help.
Oh,
it was a
anytime.
fun little team project.
It was. Friday was fun.
And the next big trial, probably Dwayne Davis.
Keefe D.
For the Tupac murder, which was
Yes.
rescheduled to next summer. So you can follow Kyle on social media, though he doesn't post. Do you even know your handles?
I think I'm Kyle J. Payne on Twitter.
You are Kyle J. Payne, yeah. I'm at David Charnes on Twitter and TikTok, and at David Charnes News, because the only other David Charnes in the world took that immediately on Instagram.
Well, your legion of followers already know.
I don't know if anyone's watching, but we'll keep doing this.
They're watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for I wasn't going to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our 8 News Now Investigator show here on the 8 News Now television streaming app. Have a great day, and we'll catch you on air.